So I'm going to talk to you about social acceptance of CCUS technology, and I'm going to argue why a multi-method approach to study social acceptance and see what we can do with this very important aspect of the technology. So apparently all of us who are here know that carbon capture, storage and utilization technology is a very promising one for large-scale reduction of CO2 emissions, and the decarbonization scenario and policy plan as a significant option to combat climate change. But of course, I'm not going to talk about this, but we know that societal perceptions, support and acceptance by the public is a critical factor for CCUS implementation. And there's a lot of literature about this public awareness and social acceptance issues. So our extensive literature review has indicated that there have been several, let's say, methodological approaches. However, the great majority of the studies in the field have used either quantitative or qualitative approaches. Only very few of them have used both quantitative and qualitative approaches. As far as the quantitative approaches are concerned, surveys have been used mostly, and this can be either in an online form, face-to-face, or via phone calls. When interviews were used via a more qualitative approach, individual interviews or focus groups have been used. Very limited experimental or quasi-semi-experimental studies, but very, very limited. And in all of these studies, a short description about CCUS technology is usually provided in advance or during the study, because as you can imagine, many people don't know what is this technology about. So a very short description is usually given just to let them know what is this that they are asked to report their perceptions about. As for the samples used in those studies, the great majority in the field examined general public awareness. So just what people know or what people think or would think about this kind of technology. Some of the studies have focused on local residents next to industrial zones. Some of them also examined the perceptions of stakeholders. Only few studies have combined both general public awareness and local residents' awareness and acceptance. And to our knowledge, at least, we have found only one study that has involved both general public, government officials, expert researchers, and enterprise employees. So I guess we are going to be the second study in the field. So when we decided what to do in the framework of the High Record project, we decided to apply not only a multi-method, but also a multi-source approach. So both quantitative and qualitative approaches, but also different groups of sample. So as I said, we used both surveys, individual interviews, and focus groups, and plus something that we haven't seen up to now in the literature, we also designed an intervention, let's say, study, because after we developed an e-module, let's say, to educate somehow the people about the technology, but we'll come to this point later on. And as an intervention study, of course, it involves a pre-test measure, the intervention itself, delivery, a post-test measure immediately after the intervention delivery, and the follow-up study 3 months after the intervention. As far as the sample is concerned, we involved general public, such as students of 2 large universities, local residents, neighboring people living next to the industrial zone of Thessaloniki in northern Greece, stakeholders from the industry, policymakers from the governmental offices, from local authorities, and also people who are decision makers at the municipal level. And also we involve the people from the media field, journalists and the media experts who are either general, let's say, they write for general topics, but also some of them are specialized in environmental issues, so they know more about these topics. So the question is, why a multi-method approach? Because we look for different things, and both of them, of course, are complementary, and we need them both because they serve different purposes. So by adopting a quantitative approach, we wish to measure public awareness and perceptions of CCUS technology-related factors. And our aim is to identify which of those factors are significantly associated with societal CCUS acceptance. Whereas with the qualitative approach, we want to explore in depth the participants' perceptions and better identify their misconceptions about this technology. So this is a more, let's say, bottom-up approach, because we address questions and we hear what they have to say about, and we can know more what they think about potential risks and hazards or potential benefits about the implementation of this technology. And as I said before, both of them are complementary, and they help us as researchers to know better what's going on in the field. And I'm continuing now. So for the moment, as I explained to you, in the literature, there have been studies, quantitative ones, qualitative ones, and one study, and some of them who combine both approaches. But we wanted to move forward to do something, let's say, more useful, at least to our opinion. So our question was, okay, we know what is the public opinion, what they think about all these new technologies. We may know which are their misconceptions, but then the next point is, and then what do we do with them? We know what they know, what they perceive, what they believe, but we need to do something. So how can we address their misconceptions about climate change and CCUS technologies? So we have somehow to replace their misconceptions with more scientific knowledge. So the question is, can we educate people about CCUS with scientific information and to cause what we call in educational psychology conceptual change, to replace their misconceptions with the relevant scientific knowledge about this technology, and strengthen people's trust in science, because we know that we experience nowadays mistrust to scientific knowledge, and this is a way that, at least in relation to this technology, to promote, let's say, scientific knowledge and replace their misconceptions. And actually, this but however, this intervention should be evidence-based. It's not like that I'm thinking somewhere and developing, let's say, an intervention from what I think people know, but this should be evidence-based. So what we did was to take into account the results of both the quantitative and the qualitative study that we have conducted in order to provide accurate scientific information on CCUS technology, to challenge the specific misconceptions which were revealed from our studies, not what's going on in general, but what our data have indicated to us. So to challenge their misconceptions, false and intuitive perceptions on CCUS, and promote trust in scientific evidence, and ultimately, of course, to promote societal acceptance of this technology we are talking about. And actually, this intervention should be delivered, let's say, in advance, quite in advance, in order to not to arrive, let's say, at the last moment when this technology is going to be implemented, but just to prepare, let's say, people to be more positive towards the implementation of this technology. And so the next question is, and why a multi-source approach? Because each group of participants provides different types of information, different kinds of information. So, and this is what our data also have indicated. So, and the type of information which we receive from different group of participants has to do with the identity of each group, obviously, how each group is involved in environmental technology, how much each group is affected by climate change or by new technologies, which is the professional role of each group. So there are different parameters that make each group to have different opinions and perceptions. And also different groups are involved in different phases of decision making and CCUS implementation, And so the result is that we need all of them to have a more complete view and to have, let's say, a more holistic approach of what's going on about public perception and societal acceptance. This is the second time that you hear about the holistic approach, because I'd also mentioned about a more holistic approach earlier. And as I said, our results indicated that the significant predictors of societal CCUS acceptance were different. We had differences between the general public and local residents. So specifically, our results have indicated that the factors which were most significantly associated with CCUS acceptance were the following: their perceptions about general benefits, their perceptions about local risks for the local communities, trust in institutions, and their skepticism about climate change. In the group of local residents, we had again the factors which were found as more significant were their perceptions of the general benefits and risks, and their perceptions of the risks and benefits for the local communities, for themselves. Also, coming to our qualitative, let's say, data, which came from both in the individual interviews and focus groups, our results indicated, and this is only an example because we have different differences in other categories, let's say, of data, but these are only examples. So our results indicated that the perceived obstacles in the CCUS implementation were not the same among stakeholders and media, for example. So in the group of industrial, governmental, and local stakeholders, we had the factor of high costs, also the lack of awareness, especially among local stakeholders, and also the factor of technical difficulties, limitations, the technological maturity of CCUS and things like that. In the group of journalists and media who can be very influential to public opinion, as we all know, we had the lack of social acceptance, and actually that was the first category of their reports that came up. So they always think of the public and the social acceptance, and also obstacles related to the public sector, such as bureaucracy and the lack of awareness again. And now I'm going to show you the timeline and also the progress, let's say, the progress of our work. So how we implemented this social acceptance and public awareness study. So we had a very extensive literature review. We designed our study accordingly, and based on the limitations that we found, of course, in this literature review, we developed our measures very carefully. We used some of the measures appeared in the literature, and we developed also ours. And then we recruited our sample, which was quite not an easy procedure. Then we collected our data, and that was our pre-test phase. So we collected our quantitative data, and data were analyzed using SPSS, which is the Statistical Package for Social Sciences, for those who might not be familiar. And the qualitative data that we collected from individual differences and focus groups, we analyzed them using the software Atlas TI, which is a specific software for qualitative data. And then, as I described to you earlier, we combined these two sources of data and the results, and we developed our web module, which is something like a video, but at the end, it's a bit interactive because we ask the participants to answer some questions and to be more actively involved with the module and the information they are presented. And now we are here. We are about to start our intervention phase, and then we will have a post-test phase. So we will collect data again immediately after the intervention and 3 months later. And let me tell you some words about the module that we developed. What is this intervention about? We call it High Record because we are in the framework of the project High Record. So, and how to combat climate change. It consists of 5 units. The first unit has to do with climate change and current situation. The second unit has to do, we call it Need for Action. What can we do, or whether time has come to do something. Unit 3, which is the longer unit in the module, focuses on how to reduce CO2 emissions and the CCUS technology, and it consists of 4 sections. What available solutions we have to reduce CO2 emissions, what are these CCUS technologies, whether there are risks and safety issues, and which are the benefits. And particularly in this unit, we based all the information here on the data we received, which are their misconceptions, what do they believe about all these issues, and things like that. So all these units are evidence-based on the evidence that we collected from our studies. And then this is something very short, closing with the individual, let's say, responsibility of everyone, which is the hope for our future. Anyway, and then, as I told you, after the module, all the participants are invited to respond to 10 questions that appear in a Google form to assure that they have read the module, because as you heard, we're going to have a post-test and then a follow-up. So somehow we need to assure that they have attended well the module, they have understood what we have tried to educate them about, and they have acquired the scientific knowledge in order to be somehow more certain about the post-test data validity and the follow-up. And also it's a way to keep, let's say, the participants, to have the participants become more active with this material. And when we will finish the study, after the completion of the study, the module will be available, of course, on the High Record website in 2 languages, English and Greek, for public awareness purposes. So everyone may have a look to the module, or also, and also the questions following the module will also be available for participants' self-evaluation purposes. And that would be a good, let's say, exercise and a good thing for the participants as well. So thank you very much.